On today's episode of PJ and the Beard, we are going to open our Leslie series, and the Beard is going to tell you the genesis of the series.
Yeah, I mean, all the way back, less than a year ago at this point, but getting close to a year, when Pat and I started doing the show, one of the things I always wanted to do was Leslie's. And it's kind of like from the very beginning, the very origin of the show, want to do the Leslie pedal. It's grown a little bit.
Yes.
It's grown a little bit. And so what happened is at one point in time, I was very into microvibes. I like the microvibes, but I wanted more of a Leslie sound than like the uni-vibe sound. And I picked up this pedal right here. It's the Strymon Lex. So I think they can see that. So I used this pretty exclusively on my board for a while. I was taking my board back and forth to where we play at church. And then the permanent church board happened.
Right.
And this got changed because I wanted to keep that on the board that traveled. When you don't have to pick it up and move it, you can do things like this, right? So this is the Hughes and Kettner tube Rotosphere. And these two pedals, I think, were kind of the origin of just this love of this sound and this effect. So fast forward a little bit to us starting to talk about let's put together an episode or episodes on the Leslie effect. We decided there were some of these out there we really wanted, but we really couldn't afford on our limited budget for this to get them all in. So I started reaching out to some companies, and the first company I reached out to was Neo Instruments about the mini vent.
We'll call it mini vent.
So, and they were kind enough to send that out.
Yes, they were.
And so let's take a listen to that one. So that was the mini vent, but they didn't stop there. They just released two new pedals. They released the Microvent 16 and the Microvent 122. And so both of these are already out on video. You can see these in the Leslie series already. They actually came out before the season opener.
Right.
Which is really cool. But Neo wasn't the only people kind enough to send us stuff. We talked to some other companies, and one of the other companies we talked to was DLS Effects. They have a pedal out called the RotoSPIN. And so let's listen to the RotoSPIN real quick. So one of the cool things about the RotoSPIN is that it features a lot of those features that you would expect to find on a Leslie. You have the slow speed and fast speed. You can switch between the two. The mini vent, the Strymon, the Rotosphere that we looked at, they do that too. You have a tweeter intensity on this one and a bass rotor level, which is really cool because you can kind of dial in the sound you want of the bass rotor and of the spinning horns is what I would think of them as. You have a knob that we can change between ramp speeds, how fast. So when I hit the switch to slow, how fast it goes to slow and back. And a nice little gain knob on here with a switch to turn gain on and off too. So with the other pedals that I already held up, we didn't really look at what the features were, but you're going to find they'll be very similar. But as part of the series, we will go through each one of these pedals. So this series opener really is like, here's what we have, here's what we're going to go through in the series. Right.
It's like when you go to the ice cream store and they give you the little pink spoon. You're getting a little pink spoon full of Rotary today.
Right. So that's what we're doing today. So one of the cool things about different Leslie simulators is that you have some new pedals that are still on the market. Mm-hmm. So right now the Strymon Lex, the Neo Instrument stuff, the DLS effects that we looked at are new. You can still buy them. You can go to the manufacturers and get them. The tube Rotosphere by Hughes and Kettner, not made anymore. So what we're going to do is sprinkle in some of those pedals that aren't made anymore. And two that I think make the cut today are the Roto machine.
Use both hands with that.
Yes. Are
The Roto machine.
the Line 6 Roto machine. This has a great reputation. We actually picked this up at the Philadelphia Guitar Show. And our friend Bob at the Philadelphia Guitar Show asked us to make sure that we mention that. So this is the Line 6 Roto machine, which is really cool about this. These were an interesting idea, I think, because you could pop out these cartridges and change cartridges. So you could get like a delay and an overdrive and stuff and pop the inside, the brown part out and change that cartridge. Again, stereo pedal has some of those same things like fast and slow and drive and blend. I think you can change between fast and slow by holding the pedal down. And we'll talk about that more later. And then another one that we were able to pick up is the TR7 Tremolo Rotary pedal from Digitech. Again, I don't believe this one is made anymore. Is Digitech?
I don't think it was.
Yeah. And, you know, this is kind of cool that you have not only your rotary sound, but you have a duo trim and a bias and an opto and a tremolo and a vibropan and a vibe. So you get some other cool settings with that one as well.
And then you have the stealthy cover that is either made so that you don't change the settings, or you can hide your secret.
Right. Hide your secrets.
So in the series, we reached out to a very famous pedal maker, Robert Keeley.
Mm-hmm.
And Robert Keeley was kind enough to help us out, sending us this Dyno My Roto at a really great price to help us in this series. And this pedal sounds like this. So not only does this pedal have the great rotary sound that you just heard, but it also has a tri-chorus and an auto flange in this mini toggle in the middle. And those are some great settings too. Like, definitely not a one-trick pony on this pedal for sure. It's what you would expect for Robert Keeley. All three of these selections have fantastic sounds.
The roto flange or whatever it's called is really
very unique.
I mean, imagine your quick rotary with this kind of pulsating flange behind it. Yeah, it's awesome.
So thanks to Robert Keeley for that. And in our teaser for the opener of this, the teaser for this series, we used the micro chorus because it was basically like, I'm the kindergartner, he's got a PhD in Leslie. So we actually took this MXR micro chorus and found the one sweet spot where it changes really from a chorus to a really nice sounding fast Leslie. Mm-hmm. So sort of the kind of non-true Leslie pedal, but commonly used for that at about that setting right there. So we had that in there. Back actually about a year ago, when Guitar Center was having a big sale on TC pedals, the Beard, again, in his love for rotary pedals, picked up the Vibroclone from TC Electronics, which has a toggle in the middle that goes from choral to tremolo. And I believe it was the choral that was more of the... Right. And so it has a speed and a drive. And so you could get a number of sounds out of this.
And you might think that is more of a... like Univibe kind of pedal, but I don't think it is. I think it's more of a rotary, like a Leslie pedal.
So, still made, pretty inexpensive if you want to dip your toe into the Leslie world. Then this one, if you've watched any of our episodes, you know we have an affinity for Love Pedal. And so this is the Rotary Reverb. And this was one that Jason picked up because, again, has the word rotary right on it. Anything with a blue light, I buy. Anything that says rotary, he buys. So this was a pedal we picked up, and we plugged this in, and this sounds great. It has reverb settings in there as well. So you can have reverb and vibrato, reverb and chorus, and reverb and rotary. And you can take the reverb in or out of any one of those settings by turning that knob. But a very lush pedal, very beefy sounding. No signal loss on this pedal at all. It sounded really great.
And you can use it just as a reverb as well.
Right. This was a great pedal from Love Pedal. And then on our quests, this was one, I keep saying Guitar Center, but I was in Guitar Center. I travel, and when I do, it's the easiest thing to find. I do go to local shops, but rolled into Guitar Center and found the from the Billionaire series, again from Dan Electro, the Money Laundry spinning speaker, a little clever. You feel like
And that's made today too.
Yep.
Sometimes with a different name.
Yeah, I forget what the other name of it was, but yeah, they changed
The
the
Big
name.
Spender?
Maybe they changed the name of a couple of these pedals in that series. If you're bored, go look it up and find out why. But a little bit now, these didn't have we talked about on these other pedals, the ramp up and ramp down. Like they can change the speed. This one actually has that other knob, which makes it different from the ones I've talked about so far. We've played this a little bit. Great little pedal, a good price point. And then Mooer was kind enough to send us the Soul Shiver. Very small footprint, like many of the Mooer pedals. It has chorus, vibrato, and rotary on here with a mini toggle. And it has volume and intensity, and then the speed. And it sounds like this.
So moving right along, we're going to jump back to some more pedals that are on the market. They're on the used market, but they're no longer made. We're trying to sprinkle a couple of these in because we're not really sure how to break this all up. This one made Pat laugh when I first sent it to a picture of Pat, and it was one of the first ones we got for the series.
Yeah,
he thought I was joking. This is the Toneworks by Korg. It is an absolute beast of a pedal. It's huge. It looks like something straight out of the 80s multi-effects put on the floor pedal. Been used by some pretty popular people, and has, a bypass, a drive, a stop, a speed, switch speeds, and has some other things. And we will get a whole episode on that guy for sure coming up. And then after that, we jump into this one, and this one is one of the last pedal to show up. That was the last pedal to be sent. This was the last pedal to show up. This is the Rototron by Pigtronics. And we're pretty big Supro fans. We have a Supro guitar down here that we like. Everything that I've tried by Supro is good. And there is a relationship between Pigtronics and Supro, and I'm not going to pretend to explain it. You can look that up. But this is, I believe, one of the only totally analog Leslie simulator pedals. And we'll get into that soon. Jumping right along... the Lester K by Electro Harmonics. Interesting to point out, right now there is like 4 or 5 pedals that we know we are missing in this series that might show up later. Lester K is one of Electro Harmonics' offerings, and I think they actually have another bigger Leslie pedal that could have been in the series. Of course, they didn't answer our email, so...
But we're hopeful.
Maybe someday. And then another company that we reached out to that did send us something out is NUX, and they sent out the Roctary, which is an incredible pedal. Why don't you go ahead and listen to that? So one of the things you probably heard on this one sounded very different than every other one we've done so far, and because it actually is the only one that has this little octave on feature that gives you an octave 1 and an octave 1, octave 1 up and an octave 1 down, where you can add those in. And that makes it very interesting and really can get some pretty crazy
organ sounds
out of that.
I thought that was great. He was playing that when I came down tonight, and I'm like, whoa, that is awesome. So
kind of like the percussiveness of a Hammond organ, the way when people play with the drawbars and get that percussiveness out of it. So going on from there.
So moving on to a very famous pedal maker, Boss. This is the RT20, and part of the reason I like it is because it does this. And if I push the button, does it go faster or slower? Ooh.
There's a love-hate relationship with that too. Some people think that is awful, and some people love it. So
if you look at it long enough, you get hypnotized.
I have to say, I'm a fan.
Yeah, this was a great pedal. Like, it's Boss, right? So some people love Boss, some people hate Boss. We like Boss, and this is a really cool pedal, and not just because it does that, but a lot of feature-laden pedal. We'll attempt to do an episode, and we have to buy some more cables to make all this work. But so the Boss RT20 was something that I think Jason had in his mind too for a very long time, of one that was well known. So we'll get into that one at some point. Now this one was actually the first pedal to come to us for the series. It is the Pinwheel by Fender. So it was really kind of a seminal moment for us. Like, you sent all of these emails, and Fender got back right away and said, we'd love to send you something. So this was the first one to come, and as you could imagine, it is also feature laden, and it sounds a lot like this. So the one thing in this opening video tried to show some unique things about the pedals that really had something unique. And you probably heard that in this pedal just by using this sensitivity knob when it's set to the slower speed. The lighter you play, the slower the speaker. The harder you play, the faster the speaker.
Right.
So just everything that Jason was doing, we weren't manipulating the pedal, as you could see. We weren't touching it. But just through that sensitivity button, you get that type of dynamic out of this pedal, and there is a lot more.
If you would rewind that and watch it again, you'll see there's a little amber light. When that light pops on, it's speeding up. So
great pedal. Thanks to Fender for doing that. And then moving back towards pedals that aren't made anymore, Tech 21 is known for a lot of great amp simulator pedals, direct boxes, and here is the RotoChoir, their offering in the Rotary world, and it has level, high, low, drive, position, and top speed. So the position would be the mic position.
And this one sounds, we had it plugged in for a little bit.
Yeah,
sounds great. And the drive on this one, if I remember correctly, was the drive that we were like, wow, that drive is really.
Yep, and it has a couple other push buttons here that, again, Tech 21 makes rock solid stuff. Great technology in there. And then the option 5, this is the Destination Rotation Single. Kind of rolls off the tongue. But again, another pedal that has a lot of features where you have the mic placement, as we've talked about, where the mic is will affect the amount of throb that you hear. There's a drive on this one. There's your fast trim, your slow trim, which would be the volume level for those. And then you have your overdrive, your fast, slow, and your off and on, so the option 5.
Right. And then last but not least, one of the last pedal makers we reached out to was Wampler, because they had just put out this pedal right as we were getting ready to do this. So we reached out to them, and he was kind enough to send us this. He gave us a good deal on it. We still, many of these we've paid for, right? The money we've spent for you. Please check out our Reverb store after.
Alms for the poor.
Right. There will be some Leslie pedals on there, and there'll be some really nice ones too, because we obviously can't afford to keep all the stuff that we've paid for. But this is a great pedal, and what makes it interesting is it does have the rotary. You can do the fast and slow. It has some control over that, but it also has, I can't remember how many it is.
I think there's 11.
11 other effects on it. So anywhere from phasers to flangers to envelope filters to the dimension, to chorus, to tremolo, to auto swell. And in fact, what we're going to do is let you hear a little bit of the Leslie and maybe a touch of Univibe too. So that was the Terraform by Wampler. And we really appreciate the help that we got from him and everybody else to make this series happen. So what's going to happen now is Pat and I have to go through 23 Leslie pedals. Episodes are going to be short. They're all going to be kind of the same. So if you are looking for a Leslie pedal and you want to A-B two of the pedals, you should be able to watch any of the episodes kind of back to back, side by side, and get a good idea for how they sound and what the features are. So we're going to focus on features. We're going to focus on the sounds and what the knobs do. Right now, you're seeing price ranges from anywhere. I think we have spent as low as $40, up to, you could spend up to $300-$400. So there's a whole big price range. But if there's a sound, if this is a sound that you're interested in, there's a pedal that you can find that would go on your board and would fill that need. And let me tell you, once you get kind of hooked on it.
Yeah, I love tremolo. He loves Leslie rotary speakers, and the more that I've sat in the room with them, because who doesn't love a Hammond organ, right? If you
Right.
love any style of rock music, that type of stuff, or even jazz, you love a Hammond organ, and this brings you that warmth and that big swirling sound and that percussive attack. It does so much. They're fantastic pedals, and hopefully maybe there might be a few more in the pipeline, because as I said to the beard earlier, we had to start the series before my beard is that long. So
Right.
we had to start somewhere.
You had to start, couldn't wait for them
Waited
all to
for
get
as
here.
long as we could,
So.
but a few other irons in the fire.
Right, and so there's a couple more. There's a few that are missing. Obviously, we didn't hold up a pedal by Hammond.
Right.
And Hammond makes 2 Leslie pedals, so those are some that are missing, but maybe after some of these get done and move along, we can get those in. So anyway, hopefully this is a one-stop shop. If you're looking for a Leslie pedal and you want to look at what's out there in the different price ranges and the different settings, this is the place to go. Click on the card above for the playlist. If you want to catch these as they come out, and we promise we are not putting 23 Leslie pedals out in 23 days, but if you want to catch the pedals as they come out, please subscribe to the channel. Like the video, go over to Instagram, go to Facebook, like those pages. That really helps us out. We've been blown away lately by how fast the channel is growing, and that's because you're taking the time to hit the subscribe button, and that really means that's why this is happening.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why these pedal companies are trusting us to do this for you. So, and for ourselves, because it's a lot of fun. So with that,
I'm PJ, on behalf of the beard, reminding you, no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear, especially when it does.